All right, welcome back. 27.2 right now, right here. Okay, we covered 27.1 last time, feeding and digestion. Talked about how food is going to be taken in as we are not autotrophs. We do not make our own food, so we have to consume that food. Okay, we also need to know how to breathe as well, right? We need that oxygen in order to one, create that energy in cellular respiration, as well as supply all our different parts of our body with oxygen. So we'll be talking about that. You can see bubbles here as this fish is quote unquote breathing or respiring or respiration. So let's cover 27.2 respiration. That's what we will be talking about right now in this, you know, fun lecture. Respiration is gas exchange. Other terms: inspiration, expiration, breathing. All you need to know is that there's some sort of gas that is being exchanged. Those gases that are important: carbon dioxide for the most part, and oxygen. Okay, so we'll take in oxygen and we will respire or expire, sorry, breathe out carbon dioxide. The diffusion and membranes. Remember, diffusion is a passive transportation, so it moves from high to low concentration, and in order for it to move and in order for it to work, it needs to be wet. All right, so there's going to be some sort of a moisture on there, and it's going to require large surface areas. So if you're looking at a human's lung, you have these microscopic bubbles. They're called alveoli. Kind of look like grapes, and they're pretty much they function in creating a larger surface area. So the actual surface area inside your lungs, when you spread it out, is the same as a that of a tennis court. All right, so it is quite large. All right. So that being said, let's get into the respiratory surface. You also need the moist membrane because that's going to eventually get into the bloodstreams and things like that. Okay. Um, Here, this is not a problem for the aquatics animals, but it is a problem for the terrestrial animals. So, how do life on land, what type of adaptations or structures did God create in order for us? Obviously, we know our lungs. I told you a little bit about the alveoli, things like that. So, how is it that um, they are going to be able to, we are going to be able to create that moist environment in order for us to breathe? Okay, so the aquatic is a one-way air path. Okay, there's no stale air. Okay, so you have air that is constantly being taken out, or oxygen is constantly being taken out of that water, pretty much, that is, or air that is coming through that. Okay, now you see this in the birds. Birds have a different type of lung system than that of animals. Okay, they're going to have a one-way system, but they're not necessarily aquatic, and that's why they're going to differ a little bit. All right, so you have gills. Fish are going to have gills. This water pretty much flows through, and the oxygen is taking out. Okay, so you have these kind of slits, and it almost looks like a feather type structure it's going to be filtered through, and it's going to expose a large area to the water. All right, and then you have also animals, mammals that live in the water. Those being um, the whales, things like that. These are the few animals here that are going to have a two-way system. They have go up, take in water, right? You see them, which is called breaching. When whales get to the surface, they breach. They're going to exhale or blow their blowhole, and then they'll take in water and are able to dive. So yes, whales do have to come to the surface in order to get air. All right. There are a few animals that will diffuse air across their skin. Okay, those being kind of some amphibians, they'll newts, things like that, will be able to diffuse air through their skins. All right. So, like I'm saying, we're talking in generalities here. There's a lot of different ways of doing it and what works best for that animal. Now, I do want to talk about here. This is the problem. Remember, we talked that it need a moist membrane. Well, if you live on land, how do you keep it moist? It's easy when you live in water, or actually when you live in the air, how do you keep it moist as well? So invertebrate structures include the skin, mantle, cavities, book lungs, tracheal tubes. These living in dirt, in different environments, a lot of times the environment, okay? But the vertebrate structures are going to be a little bit differently. Those will have air that moves in, should be two ways, okay? I don't know why it says necessarily uh, one way. This should be a two-way. You have air that moves in and then air that moves out. Birds are going to be a little bit differently, mainly because they aren't going to have stale air. Okay, so birds are not going to have stale air, mainly because they need that constant uh, oxygen to be replaced. Now, humans have stale air. And an example of that is if you've ever gotten the air knocked out of you. Well, that's that stale air moving your body. And the reason for that is you're able to still be able to um, still be able to uh, do gas exchange for the most part. All right, so here are some different types. Okay, you have gills here. This is what they look like. Sponges, very simple, very easy. Water is just going to diffuse through them. You have a blowhole here on a porpoise. Okay, you have a fish here that has gills. All right, so you can see kind of the blood. All right, the blood is going to flow through that. Diffusion is going to get the oxygen to move into the bloodstream. And then you have and arthropods, what are called spiracles here, that are going to, this is pretty much where their air is going to be held, and then their circulatory system is the very same thing. So a lot of times the respiration and circulatory system are going to be working together, and that's simply just because they need to deliver that oxygen, because all the cells aren't going to be able to do it on their own. Now, the cells do cellular respiration on their own, but since we are large structures, we need help and be able to get all of those as well. Here you have what are called book lungs. You've seen these in spiders. You have mollusks here, which are going to have a feather-like gill here. Okay, so that is going to be within the mantle here. Okay. So those are the structures for the respiration. Okay, so to sum up what we need to know, the fusion, okay, that's how water is going to, or sorry, air is going to get moved, is through diffusion, high concentration to low concentration. I'm not going to get into the details, but you're going to end up using gas laws. So gas is and pressure is going to be a passive transportation and use diffusion. Okay. You need a large surface area, moist membranes. These are the different ways to go about doing that. Okay. We have a two-way system, right? You breathe in your mouth or nose and then out your mouth or nose. Okay. And birds are going to have no stale air. All right. Mainly, you need to be looking at kind of these different structures. Need to understand these a little bit. You may see something like this on a test, such as fish will have what type of structure. Spiders will have what kind of structure, things like that. So you're looking at these three slides. Stay tuned next time for circulation. Have a good day.